Hey folks, welcome to Puzzle Spoilers. Today we're taking a look at Locked In. This is a puzzle lock designed by Brian Turner. His company is called Grave Raven. It's engraved there on the back. This is the aluminum version. There was also a full brass version. The goal of this puzzle is to open the shackle and then return it to its closed lock state. This is a really interesting, simple looking puzzle. There's not much to it. There's no keyhole, and it's not immediately apparent what you need to do to even start the first step. Let me show you how to solve it. The key to this puzzle is that there's an internal gear that moves simply by rotating the puzzle like this. When the gear's in a very specific orientation, a metal rod drops down into it and frees up the shackle. The lock itself is comprised of just two pieces, and we can see it's split here down the middle all the way. And so we want to put some clockwise pressure on this top bit here, and we want to simultaneously rotate. We can go clockwise or counterclockwise, but we're just trying to get that pin to align perfectly and drop into the gear. And by spinning it just like this, that gear is moving around. We can hear the gear as it moves. All right. There we go. And this top bit comes apart pretty easily, so you don't have to provide too much clockwise pressure to it as you're rotating. Eventually you're going to find that correct spot, and the shackle will release to this point. You can't completely remove the two pieces from each other immediately. What you have to do is actually turn the puzzle over, and then you can completely twist that top part and remove it. And the internal components are revealed. So now we can see the puzzle is actually comprised of four separate pieces. We have the two pieces that were visible initially, this back shackle piece and then this front cover. We also have this internal gear made of brass, and it sits in this internal chamber, and when you rotate the puzzle, the gear very easily rotates. You can see how that's working there. So this is the position that the gear should be in the solved state. The pin sits in that channel, and it can actually poke out of two openings on this ring on both sides. I'll show you what the internals look like in the scrambled state. So the gear could be in any one of these other orientations, and the pin now slightly elevated. So we can see here that the pin stays in this position throughout the whole solve. We're just trying to get that gear to move underneath it so that it can drop into that channel. When the pin is unable to drop into that channel on the gear, it's unable to bypass the tabs on the interior part of the cover. Let's reassemble the puzzle now, and I'll explain what's going on in the inner workings. So first, take your pin and make sure it's in the channel on this gear and center it up so that an equal amount of pin is just slightly sticking out on the left and the right, sticking out of that inner circle area. Next, take the cover piece, and we need to find the spot where it's going to drop down flush with the rest of the lock, so it's right in that position with the locked in engraving kind of on the left side. And then we can't move the cover right now because that pin is interfering with those internal tabs on the cover, so we need to flip the puzzle upside down. Remember, try not to rotate it too much. Do this very slowly because your gear at any moment can become misaligned and the pin could come out of that channel. So do all of these reassembly movements very slowly. Now we can move the cover into this position. Once we flip the puzzle over, we can now make that final movement. If you're stuck here and the cover won't move to its fully closed position, your pin has become misaligned with the internal gear. You could start over and try to do this process more slowly, or you can start doing rotations at this point until your pin drops back into the gear, at which point you should be able to close it fully. Once the shackle has fully closed, it's not necessarily going to stay closed. Your pin is probably still perfectly aligned in that gear if you've made it to this point. So the easiest way I've found is to turn the puzzle back over with everything still closed, give it a little shake and a couple turns, and that should misalign that pin in regards to the gear, and now the puzzle is fully locked again. The puzzle unfortunately can be sort of accidentally solved. There's only so many different states this gear can be in, and if you wiggle the puzzle around enough, you're likely to get into that position where the pin is perfectly in the channel. So it's not particularly difficult, but I still find the mechanism to be quite beautiful, and I think it's a really great puzzle. I'll put a link below to where you might be able to find this puzzle at auction. If you found the video interesting, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. That's it for today, folks. I'll see you in the next video.